back to another video. Today I'm going to be restoring this old oil can. As you can see, it's really dirty, completely covered in oil and grease. So what I'm intending to do, I think I'm going to strip it all the way down, get as much of the actual oil and grease off as I can, sand it all, prime it, and then I think I'm going to finish it in a nice red to match the rest of the toolboxes in here, but I'm going to put a metal flake finish in it, I think. So first things first is clean it out as much as possible. There's quite a bit of oil in there actually. Try and get as much of that oil out, and then degrease it, sand it, and clean it up as much as we can. So I'm going to be cleaning it basically. I'm over here on the dirty workbench. I'll clean it again with some panel wipe and probably a lot of thinners as well. Try and get as much of this oil and dirt off as I can, just to work. I won't actually use it with some better oil than that, because that's disgusting. Look at that old egg yolk. I will probably use it for oiling my tools up and things. Putting 3-in-1 oil in there. Get rid of that. Got a bad cold. And a wire brush. I think I'll get a wire brush on the drill in a minute as well, so I can get it as much into these nooks and crannies. And that's quite easy. That just comes out. Pin there to one side with that. That comes off that. It's a little bit easy to clean. Let me see this on camera. Is it on camera? Yeah, I think so. Okay. It's pretty filthy. I quite like doing things like this though. I find it quite therapeutic, good for the mind. And you get a nice working tool at the end of it, hopefully. If I can remember how it goes back together. Can't be that difficult. Yeah, I think it's going to need a little bit of thinners as well, just to get rid of all the oil and grease. I think that should be alright. It's all coming out there quite nice. Like I said, I'll get the wire brush on it on the end of the drill as well. Get it as clean as possible. Could really do some brake cleaner on this. This is pretty good stuff. It's not that expensive as well. So I'll continue with this, and I'll catch up with you in a minute when it's looking a little bit cleaner. So a little bit of cleaning progress. As you can see, it's starting to come up quite nice. We just take the actual inlet wall valve off there. I've degreased it all, but it's still got some grease on it, so I'm going to go over again with the actual panel wipe just to get as much as I can off. It's such a messy job, but then it's probably years and years worth of old grease and dirt and oil on it. I'm actually soaking the actual trigger in some thinners there as well. You see all the dirt coming off that because that was clean a minute ago. So hopefully that'll take the paint and the oil off. All the actual internal parts all over here. I've cleaned the spring and the ball bearing inside. Still oil in there. I'm trying to keep it all separate. So what I'm going to do now on this, like I say, is give it another degrease, wipe it all down as much as possible, and then I'm going to give it a very light coat of good old Tetrasil etch primer. If you want something that's aggressive as an etch primer, this is your stuff. This will bite into anything. So it'll be a chemical bond, not a mechanical bond. So it should bite into the actual paint nicely. Then I'm going to leave that for a good 24 hours or so, sand it down, probably put another light coat on, leave that again, and then we're going to do the red gloss. Then we'll have to sand the red gloss, just very lightly scuff it all over so we can put the clear coat and the metal flake over the top. in theory, unless it reacts, but hopefully it shouldn't if we give it loads more coats of this. So like I say, I'll do that, and then I've got the actual tub of it to do, just over there. Actual base, get all that cleaned up. I've actually got that stuffed with some old kitchen roll, just to keep the oil in as much as possible and keep the paint out. Just to keep the oil out as much as possible. I'm going to tape up the threads as well, because I don't really want to get any paint on those threads, because then it'll be a pain in the arse to thread it back on. So I'm just going to do a nice line around that edge there, and then I'm going to do the what's it called, Wesco logo, probably in gold vinyl, just on there, just in a nice oval. You can see it written on there, if you can see it. Yeah, just, I think that'll look quite nice just in gold vinyl. I was going to do another water slide, but I think the gold vinyl against the red will look really nice. Get as much of the dirt off as possible, and then we'll try the etch primer just on this piece, see how it goes. Makes your workbench a mess with this as well, doesn't it? Good mess of it. Part of the process, I suppose. So just giving this one very light coat of the actual Tetrasil, and it's starting to dry already. So it looks like I did get all the oil off, because there's no actual reactions. Let that sit overnight, let it really harden up, then we'll give it a quick Scotch Brite all over, and give it another coat before we actually go on with the top coat. So I'm just going to sit that on the vise there. Just out of the way, just to dry. While that's drying, I'll see if I can clean this up and sand this up as much as I can. So that's looking a little bit better. I've just used a screwdriver, shoved up the base there, just as a handle, make it easy for painting. Give it a light coat of the old etch primer. It's very aggressive stuff, this, so if there's going to be any reactions, you're going to get them straight away. Not even on camera, maybe that's better. Nice light coat, nothing more than that. Just a light dusting. So I'll sit this somewhere to dry overnight, and then we'll look at the red top coat. So it's the next day, and as you can see the primer's dried to a really nice finish. So I'm going to do is give this a really light sand over with something like a 500, maybe even an 800, just to give it a light key. Hopefully not going to go through the primer, which I shouldn't do, so I've got two coats on there now. And then I'm going to go over the top of it with the Plastic Coat Super Gloss Paint. It's I think it's an acrylic base, so it should be fine for me to put my clear coat over the top, because I'm going to put in the clear over the top of this with the actual metal flake in it. I should use a base coat really, but this dries to a nice finish, and I like the colour of this because it matches my toolbox pretty much bang on. Giving it a really good shake for a good 5-6 minutes. And then it should, yep, nice light coat to start. In all the little gaps and bits first, in the sides. Make sure we get all the edges. It's really light first coat this, we'll probably do 2 coats of red. Should really do it over a white to get a really nice bright finish, but it's just a display piece. I'm not going to be, well, I might actually use it because it's usable, so I may use it, but anyway. It's a nice colour when it's finished. Right, a bit there, and there. Right, it's one light coat all over, a bit in that bit. No runs as I can see. So we'll put that to one side now, just in the vise there. Can get to it around the camera. Just hold that in there. Now that dry. And while that's drying, we'll do the base part. It's got a really nice glossy look on there now. paint actually that. But while that's drying, I'll show you this graphic I've just made. It's just our normal gold matte sign vinyl. I'll put this on the oil can when it's fully dry and just finish it off with a nice little finishing touch. It should look quite nice. And the flake I'll be using in the clear coat is this red mini flake. So that should go through my little mini jet gun, all being well. If not, I'll have to get out the big boy, get the big old Sealy primer gun out to get the flake through it. And this is all from a company called Perfect Pearls and Pigments, really good company. There's all the details there if anybody's interested. That's going to focus. All the details there, Instagram, etc. Perfect Pearls and Pigments, pretty reasonable price actually. I think that 20 grams, or 25 grams, sorry, cost me, I think it was about 12 quid, something like that. So it's not a massive amount of money. Depending on how heavy you want to go with the flake, you could do quite a lot. I want to do this drawer unit as well in the red with a metal flake in it. And I'll polish all the chrome up on this, make it look really nice, and then I can store all my sanding discs in that. So we'll just wait for the paint to dry, and in the morning we'll do the metal flake, and then when that's dry we'll put the sticker on, and then it's pretty much job finished. Okay, so it's the next morning and the red has dried really nice. Really nice finish. It's glossy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give this a very light scotch with a little Scotch-Brite pad just to slightly key it up. I'm not going to go too mad because it's not like it's going to be an everyday piece. This is just going to be mostly for display. I may put some oil in it and oil the odd thing. Who knows, I may even just leave it as it is and just use it as a display piece and just sit on the counter. So I don't have to go mad with actually keying it up and worrying about the actual delamination of the lacquer or anything like that. Plus I'm only going to be putting one coat of lacquer on just to give it that metal flake gloss finish. I painted the little trigger as well, that's all looking nice. So I've got my mixing pot here, so I'm going to get my lacquer out and my metal flake. I'll be using my trusty Sealy gun. I was going to use my mini jet, but I think that's going to be too small in the needle because it's only like, I think it's a 1.2. This is a 0, so it should be fine. Use this for a primer. In fact, I painted the Nissan with this about 10 years ago. I think did a great job. I think the gun cost me 25 quid back then, 10 years ago. So, you know, I really abuse it. I think last time I used it, I painted the workshop wall with some emulsion. As you can see, I do abuse it, but it's a good old piece of kit, really. I'm going to mix up some clear coat, just a tiny little bit. I'm probably going to need a tenth of that. Yeah, probably a tenth. And then whack a tiny bit of flake in it. Just pop them out of the way. I'm going to mix my clear coat first. So it's going to be 2 to 1 again. The clear coat I'll be using is this Optima scratch resistant clear. It dries really fast and you get a really nice glossy finish with hardly any material, which I find is great for smart repairs and little accident repair jobs. So what I think I'm going to do is go probably 75 by eye, yes, 50, 75 ish. I'm not going to thin this. I'm not going to put any thinners or reducer in it because I don't want any reactions. So I'm just going to go with a standard hardener, acrylic 2K acrylic hardener, up to the 75 of that, something like that. In fact, I might just give it a splash more. There we go. So that should be more than enough clear coat. And there's a metal flake. Now, I'm not going to need a massive amount of this. Nice effect, these metal flakes. Let's try that. That's probably about 0.5 of a gram, if that. Yeah, it's going to be more than enough. You can see that there. That's plenty. That should give a really nice metallic finish. Get the compressor set up, and I'm going to paint these outside well, just outside the door of the actual garage with my compressor. As you can probably hear the actual compressor going next door, rumbling away. So when you actually put your clear coat with metal flake into a gun, don't filter it, because then you filter out all the metal flake. Straighten the gun. Hopefully it shouldn't block. It's only a small job this, so it should be fine. And we'll drag it outside and get the paint on. Subtle, just how I wanted it. Got a slight reaction on the top there, that's fine. It's pretty glossy, pretty good. Flake in there. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry, probably overnight again, manual process, and then we'll build it back up, put the vinyl sticker on it, and it's job done. So we're all back together now. I think that's pretty good. You can see the flake on there. It's just very subtle. Seems to work alright. I haven't put any oil in it yet. So the last final touch is that vinyl transfer. I can do this around the camera. Like that. Really nice. Where about? There. There you go. I think that looks pretty good. I may use it for oiling the odd part, like my garden shears, or I just wax and cream one oil in it. I might just use it as a decorative piece. But I'm really pleased with how that's come out. A bit of time, lots of elbow grease, and you get a job that's half decent. So if you like this video, if you want to see more content similar to this, don't forget to subscribe. Throw me a comment below as well, and I'll see you on the next one.